right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And this is Frank McNeil with Talk of the Town, and I have with me the Ilio Mercenary, Alderman Sean Gregory from Ward 2. Good afternoon, Alderman. How are you?
All right, all right. Good afternoon.
All right, you've been very busy here in the last couple of 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and with an unfortunate incident with Sonia Massey. Uh, you have you and the people around you, Black Lives Matter, and all of the other people who NAACP, Teresa Haley, it's too many to talk about. But the fact of the matter is that the sheriff is now saying that he's going to retire, resign. So, how do you feel as one of the leaders of this movement to get the Sheriff Campbell, to leave office?
Well, definitely happy to hear that. So we can start to begin to heal. But there's so many pieces to this that still have to be addressed. For everything from the merit board to different reforms on hiring and just culture. One of the things that disappointed me was just some of the lack of empathy, from just the surrounding officers that was there as well when he called her out her name or, in an incident like that. I would expect somebody to be like, hey man, let's not talk like that. So I think that there's a lot of work still to be done, and we're gonna keep pressing forward.
Uh, with that said, we this just seems more and more things keep unfolding with in regards to this. Do you think this is the end of it, in the context that I was watching footage of him in Mason County Jail, and how the officers from Sangamon County basically told him they are going to take care of him over there. That basically giving him preferential treatment, if I can say it that way. And as you said, with no remorse, and it's almost like he didn't do anything wrong, and it's almost like he was doing his job, which there's well, the judge didn't think he was doing his job. That's why he's in the making Mason County Jail. But the fact of the matter is that there was no remorse, none whatsoever. A life gone, and I've known people that have had to do their job, and they were sort of really in crisis, if you want to say. And it was just like, well, like he shot a groundhog or something.
Yeah, no, I would agree, and I think that's one of the points that has to be really drilled down is the culture of within policing, and we know they're always going to take care of one of their own. For me that's to be expected, but the key is that he is behind bars, and sooner or later he will be moved from Macon County jails and to big boy prison, where things would be a little more streamlined with the rest of the prisoners that's in there.
Well,
Everybody
he
deserves respect for sure.
right. Well, quite frankly, I think he believes that he's going to get a bond set for him, and that he's going to get out of jail.
Yeah. Well, I will say that I highly doubt that. You know, I think a lot more than not really see the seriousness in this issue. I think a lot more than not really are looking to hold him accountable, and whether he realizes it or not. One thing is true, two things is for certain, that we're going to keep pushing to ensure that justice is served, and we're not going to stop until we see it done.
Well, and one of the things that you said earlier is it's a culture, and the culture was very identifiable with the conversation that he was having with the deputies there. That there's a culture that the blue line and the blue culture was there, that everybody's coalescing around him rather than saying, "Hey, man, you really messed up," and that's not the way we do things around here. It was like, they came to support him.
Yeah, like I say, I agree with that, and the culture definitely needs to be addressed because you and I both know if that person is a person of color, he'd probably be told to shut up and sit down and not afforded such friendly conversations. But the goal is to have him behind bars and keep him there, and make sure we seek justice for the Massey family.
Okay, and moving forward now, uh, the movement or the movement, as I look at it, has been to one justice for Sonia Massey and to get Sheriff Campbell to resign or retire, however you want to say it.
Mhm.
But we still have issues. You've had three shooting deaths, I think, two shooting deaths in the last couple of weeks. Uh, how are we going to address those issues? And and the movement, of course, is Black Lives Matter, but they also matter when it's black on black crime. And I think we have to keep this movement in a position that the lives of those individuals, whether they were engaged in some, we have to address this from a community perspective, including Black Lives Matter, that we have to address this in the context of why are we having these shootings? How are these young men getting access to the guns? And is this the end of our Sheriff Campbell is now gone. Are we going to organize and get ready to try to get a new sheriff elected? Right now, uh, County Board Chair Andy Van Meter and the County Board will appoint a new sheriff. I'm assuming that's the way its process is going to go. Are we going to attend the county board meetings and press to get somebody, from the, a more, for lack of a better term, liberal community? Because clearly uh, somebody has to address the culture in the sheriff's department.
Absolutely. I think a little bit of everything you talked about is going on right now. One of the main protest organizers, Tierra Standage and Intricate Minds, her business. She's been hosting voter registrations every Tuesday. I know, different organizations have started to ramp up the voter registration. Because even while the sheriff has retired, we still look to address those who didn't speak out or didn't hold the line for justice. And so voting is very, very, very important. And just to touch on the short rash of gun violence that we have had, at no time do we ever stand for violence in our community. At no time have we ever advocated for justice not to be served. Um, in any situation, and this is just one of those situations where we have to hold law enforcement accountable, and just as the people on the streets, we have to hold them accountable as well.
Well, as a former broadcaster, I used to say when there was a shooting in our community, if you know who they are, turn them in. We've got to take accountability for our own community. And it may be your cousin, your nephew, your grandson, or whatever, your brother. But it is time that we turn these people in. We can't let them continue to operate in our community, and if we are going to ask the greater community to be accountable, then we have to be accountable ourselves, and we have to step up and do what is right by our community and turn these people in. Let them. This can't continue to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I just had a long conversation with brothers from the streets, and just about that we must ensure safety in our community. Um, whether it's young people with guns or people who are grown enough to know better. We don't want illegal guns on our streets, harming individuals any and everywhere. So all are enemies to our culture, regardless of race or creed. But we do hold everyone to a high standard of safety and peace in our community. Now, how we get there in partnership with law enforcement, there's still some work to be done, but for the most part, um, we have to work it together, and from a community standpoint, and a law enforcement standpoint, when we're talking about where do these guns come from, making sure we're holding those who put guns in the hands of our youth accountable. um, and our driving forces to bringing illegal guns not only into our city, but into our country altogether. Many of these things just randomly pop up in our country, and we really have to that's a bigger scope, and in your conversations on a national level. But those things really concern me. The accessibility of illegal firearms in our community is a major problem, and it's something that I've always fought for since I've sat in this seat. I've always had good conversations with our police chiefs about how do we get to the source of where these guns come from, and make sure we're holding them accountable, just as many of the young people who get them, and adults who are irresponsible with those.
You've been the elected alderman. Now you're in your second term. What do you say in your assessment of your going on 6 years now as an alderman? What do you think have been your biggest success, and what has been the things that you feel still need work?
Um, I think what I've done best is really raising the awareness and push and priority to get things done in our community. Whether it's Cap 1908 on 11th Street, which is doing well and going to provide dividends out into our community, or whether it was helping work along with my former seatmate Doris Turner to secure half of the cannabis funding. Sure, we wanted more, but we definitely wanted to secure at least half of that for our community. And it's currently back again rolling and paying dividends out to our community through business and owner occupied home repair. So that was a major thing for us. And of course, some of the things that we're proud of, that are more the memorialized type of things. Black Lives Matter Solidarity Day with signs, and making sure that Juneteenth was a city paid holiday, which are much of the highlights of our career. But what I really am proud of is the growth in our community with housing, getting it cleaned up, roads, sidewalks on every street. Those are the things that I'm really most proud of, because those are the things that affect the people the most. Most people want to just have good, clean neighborhoods that are getting the same type of treatment that we see in other places in our city. Little things like street sweepers coming down, on a monthly basis, cleaning out the gutters so we don't have pools of water, making sure that we're getting our gutters fixed and repaired. Sidewalks on places that don't have sidewalks, so our kids don't have to walk in the streets. Those things are the things that make me most proud. They may not be the things that get the most notoriety, like some of the Juneteenths and some of the other legislations we passed. But those are the things that I'm most proud
Hold on just a second, Sean.
of. Sure.
I lost everything. I don't have you. I don't have you. I don't have me. We just lost everything. I don't know what happened here.
It still says recording.
Yeah, it's still recording, but I can't seem to get the video back. I lost my video. Oh man, I don't know what's going on. I'm still connected to you, but I can't. It just went blank. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Man, what in the world happened here? Okay, I think I got it back. Well, at least I got back to recording. Pre-recording. I'm already in this. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna have to start. We're gonna have to start over because I lost video and everything. We're still connected, but I can't seem to find the my the video where we were at. Oh, now we got it back.
Mhm.
We're gonna have to edit that out.
All right.
Okay, but anyway, I know I have to have Steve edit this out, so we got some editing to do, and he's got to watch it the whole way. We got to edit out, but we'll be okay.
All right.
Okay, uh, now the you and Alderman Williams and Alderman Purchase have now created a Alderman automatic caucus, Black Caucus.
Mhm.
What seems to be the goals and objectives of the automatic Black Caucus? What are you guys trying to do, achieve?
Well, we want to make sure that we work in unison together to really address Black issues head on in the city of Springfield. The city of Springfield is a city with a lot of history, good and bad. The hometown of Abraham Lincoln, the hometown of the 1908 race riots that speared the NAACP, the hometown of two consent decrees, one with the school district, and of course, the fabulous work you and your friends did back in '87 to give a young person like me, or a younger person in this game anyway, um, the opportunity to sit in the seat. So there's been much work, and we think that it's only appropriate for us being history makers ourselves, serving, for the first time with three Black people on the city council, that we do something that's going to carry on to try to not only directly create legislation through ordinances and different policy moves to make things better for Black life in Springfield, but as well have a foundation together that's consistently not only educating our community and bringing up young Black and minority politicians, but as well as serving as a support system to continue on to make sure that we have proper representation on the city council. Um, and that was important to us. And, so far, so well, good. We, all are different and have different thoughts. But one thing we do try to keep at heart is doing the best that we can for our people at all times and breaking all barriers.
Being the demographics of your Ward 2, Roy's Ward 3, Miss Purchase's Ward 5, and the demographics significantly different in each one of those wards. And sometimes you have what we call competing interests as far as what Ward 2 may like or want is sometimes may infringe on something that Ward 5 or Ward 3 may want. And how do you, I guess this is what you're doing to try to resolve some of those issues to better represent everybody, but so that you guys are not clashing all the time.
Well, I think that comes into play a little bit, that we do have some different dynamics. I'm about 60% minority. Roy's about 40%, somewhere in there, and Keisha's about 30% in her ward. So definitely all have different demographics, but all have similar issues, right? We all have some dilapidated housing. We all have some roads that need to be done. We all have a economic boom, so to speak, interest that we want to see in our wards, with different areas that I would say are hotspots. Hers, is probably downtown. Roy's is probably along Dirksen, and mine is 11th and South Grant, 11th Street and South Grant corridor that we want to see business boom on. Um, so I think that we have more in common. Especially when we work in the best interest of the people, because what's good for the people of Ward 2, um, in many cases, is good for the people of Ward 3 and Ward 5, and throughout our city. And for the most part, we're all interior alder people that have wards are in the inner city. Some of the city that has, haven't seen a lot of the investment. Of course, Ward 2 and Ward 3 have definitely not seen it, but Ward 5 has some opportunity areas as well. Our downtown is important, and I do have some, everything south, from Capitol all the way to Cedar of downtown. So those things are important to us as well.
That brings up an issue that it's an age old issue. I dealt with it and years ago, and it's still there, and that presents placing resources where they're needed the most. And with the blight that you and Alderman Williams have, why can't you get the collective group of aldermen to understand it's Springfield, whether it's east, north, south, wherever, it's Springfield. And if we want Springfield to be the capital city that people want to come to and say, hey, what a great city Springfield is, you have to do the things necessary to make East Springfield and Northeast Springfield. You got to spend the money. It's not going to happen magically.
Right. No, I agree. Investment and priority investment is what we're looking to really, really bring forth. We've, and this is not to say that we haven't got a lot of good things done, because there has been.
No, that's not a criticism. That's
Yeah.
just saying that there needs to be more investment.
Absolutely, because it has been neglected and really not been prioritized for such a long time, and there's been such a fight, even back from when you first started, there's been such a fight for economic growth on this end of town that we're finally starting to, I think, get partners at the federal and state level that really understand as well, with Congresswoman Bazinski and Senator Turner, and it's really given us, me and Roy and Alderwoman Purchase, more opportunity to really share that light and get some state and federal money down. Congresswoman Bazinski is responsible for almost $3 million between Cap 1908, which is the South Grand Corridor, and Pillsbury, which is a much needed area, which is in Alderman Williams area, but across the street, is my residential piece. So that's what it takes. When we talk about voting and elections and things, the real power is those who surround the power, right?
Right.
If we we're going to get Kamala and Mr. Waltz in office. But we also got to make sure that we take care of the rest of the Trump's guys. We got to make sure we address them and make sure we get them, because we can just get the president and then the Congress be all messed up, and we can't get nothing down to the people. So we want to get all of them.
Right. Well, a wise old politician told me years ago, all politics are local. And if you don't have your local politics in order, and what happens at the top sometimes doesn't trickle down to you. So the goal, and I think that one of the things that I listened very intently at the public meeting over at Union Baptist Church about a week ago, to the outrage and the people, but where's that outrage when it comes to volunteering to knock on doors, to get people registered, and to get people out to vote? That's the real, as they say, when the rubber meets the road, that's what's got to happen. Yeah. You got to elect people who have the mindset that want to do the kinds of things that you're talking about. And so we can't, and this is why I'm saying, are we in a moment, or do we have a movement going? We have a moment where we are advocating for Sonia Massey, but we need a movement to continue this to go forward, because if we stop off now, all that we have accomplished, and let me give some backup to this. President Barack Obama got elected in 2008. And it's almost like people thought everything is okay now. We should have been even more emboldened and tried to get more. Instead, we relaxed. We sat back and said, okay, Obama's going to take care of it. No, this is an ongoing struggle. It does not stop regardless of who gets elected. And sometimes we may have to even address issues with the person we helped get elected and said,
Yes.
hey, this is not the way we want to go with this.
Yeah.
So we have to understand that this ball does not stop rolling. It's a continual motion. We have to be there day, night, weekend, whatever. We have to keep advocating, keep registering to vote, keep voting, because that's the way you get things done.
Absolutely. And I think that day by day, and it's unfortunate that we have a lot of moments in our community, whether it's gun violence, or whether it's unfortunately law enforcement taking a citizen from our community, or we have a lot of those moments that really lead to the movements that we've seen, because people have gotten to the point where they're just so tired of it, and they're like, you know what, I'm going to join, go help Alderman Gregory or Williams or Black Lives Matter, or organizations, and to push for change. And I think we're at the boiling point in disadvantaged communities across this country that are really to the point where they're saying enough's enough. And I agree. Even when we get who we want in office, we still have to hold our people accountable. One thing I can tell you: the people of Ward 2 hold me accountable. The people of Ward 3 hold Roy accountable. Um, we definitely hear from our constituents, even about things that have been like this for a long time, to address them. And that's why you see so many hard conversations at council sometimes, right? Because we
Well, I
we
mean,
have to
it's
address
nothing
some
wrong with a
things.
good hard
Yeah.
conversation.
We have to
Trust me.
address some things that are not popular. They're not, sometimes it's people take it like, oh, we're throwing darts at them. And for instance, with Popular Place, Popular Place is a beautiful redevelopment, is well long overdue, and that project is one of the first, maybe only projects that had a 30% minority participation on it. And Alderman Williams, and I supported him on that, made that happen. And it was some uncomfortable conversations. There was some hurt feelings and back and forth arguing, but in the end, we was able to see fruits of that labor, and we didn't get everything we wanted out of it, but we did see a nice percentage of people of color and minorities working on the project, and that's what we shoot for. So um
That's
and
how you change communities, that they get people working, and then
yeah.
they can then afford to be homeowners, afford to do the things that makes the homes in the area safer, because they want to protect their area.
Mhm.
And more people who have a vested interest, if you want to say, in that community will stand up for that community.
Absolutely.
People who, we have, and, this is not nothing new, but we have a lot of landlords who not in the community. They live outside of the community, they live outside of town.
Mhm.
And so their main goal is to get the check at the end of the month. So what's going on there and who the tenants are and what they do is secondary to the check.
Right. And I think it's a two-way street, right? I think that tenants have to make sure that they are taking care of their rentals, and I think landlords have to make sure that they're holding those tenants accountable, because one thing we can't have in our community is while we fix up, somebody coming behind us tearing up. We can't continue to go cleaning up, fly dumping, and all those things. So we're looking at some different policy changes to really address some of those things. But absolutely, we want to hold out of town landlords and any landlord accountable. And but on the flip side, and that's the beauty of, right, the caucus. We Alderwoman Purchase has experience in that industry, and to get her professional side of it in business, as well as get our view as of it from the rental standpoint and things of that nature. It really makes for a good team to come up with some good policy changes and things of that nature. So those are all things that's on the table. I just actually was over at a house on 1408 East Jackson, talking with some folks and a reporter just about how long certain houses have been there and how we need to get them taken care of. And you know we got about 30 more houses that are going to come down here soon. Another $600,000. But that's why the funding that we get, from the federal and state governments, because the city doesn't have a lot of money, right? We got
Mhm.
our ARPA funds, and there were some different moves made between firehouses and raises and all those things, and now we're at a point where we had to refinance some bonds to give us a little wiggle room to do some projects and stuff. So
Well, with the money to demolish the homes in the area, and trust me, I've been on both sides of this issue.
mhm,
The demolition is good, but what are you going to replace it with?
absolutely,
Now you have a bunch of vacant lots that need to
right,
be cut, don't
yeah,
get cut timely.
yeah,
You have to stay on the railroad, as you know, to try to get the
yeah,
the area around the railroads cut. These are ongoing things that you and Alderman Williams. I know I drove through the area the other day, and the dump site over on Macquarie, that that's just a proverbial dump site where people just continue to go and dump. And Reverend Johnson has put in some nice new homes down in that area. But I see how they blocked off that one driveway that used to run right in front of there. But people are still finding a way to get in there and unload, and
yeah.
it's not a good thing. And I know you have fought for trying to get that taken care of, cameras and all those kind of things. Fly dumping is an issue all over the city. It's just
Right.
it's east. It's not as bad further west or whatever. They have some issues with fly dumping as well.
Absolutely. Mhm. Mhm. I think with that situation, we really have to make some tough decisions down the line, and whether that's going to be all rentals have trash service included in their rent, or we're going to have all trash service on CWLP, or there's some tough conversations that need to be had. I'm open to those conversations, but ultimately, you need 6 votes to get anything passed, but
Sure.
we are coming to a head on that, and there is going to have to be some moves made on it because we're just chasing our tails in many events. We did put up some blockage and stuff over there on McCreary and try to slow it down, and people still find a way to do that. And most of the time, Public Works will tell you a lot of it can be construction material from people doing some,
Right.
interior,
Rehab work.
rehab, and then we got a bunch of trash from people who just don't have trash, whether it's they live in a neighborhood or whether they come bringing it from outside the neighborhood. But we're gonna have to fight it from two sides. We got to do some policy changes, and we got to try to catch more of these people
Do
that's
more
doing.
enforcement.
Yeah,
You
do
got to
more.
have an enforcement mechanism, and sometimes people. I mean, I know you get the calls when people get cited for grass or trash or whatever, and they always have a story. And not that some people don't have a legitimate story, but you have some people that continually always be on your ear about, well, they're doing me wrong, but there's some things that you're doing that may not be the best of being a good neighbor. And so you have a balancing act, if I can say it that way, that what's going on and get to the bottom of it. And then there's the tough love that you got to say, hey, you got to clean this up. You got to do something about it. You
Yeah,
just can't continue this.
absolutely. That's one of the things that I have been um, have had a lot of success with is going out to the places that people have problems. But I'll tell you, most people who live in houses and live in rentals, or whether they own them or stuff, when they do get a notice from the city, they do address it. We may have to extend it out and things of that nature and work with them, depending on how serious the violation is. But a lot of our lingering problems and things you know that we have to keep addressing our houses that people don't live in or been vacant for a while, and things of that nature. So we do have some houses that people live in that could use some TLC and some some help in that regard. But most of the time when the city addresses homes that in my ward particularly that people live in and stuff, they do address them within a time frame and stuff. But a lot of these boarded up vacant houses is some of them that we have to address, and it's hard. So that's why when I first came in, I was gun ho about tearing them down. We tore about about 30 to 40 down in over the last 5 years. So I've really slowed that portion down and really have been pressing for more funding to rehab houses and get boarded up and vacant houses and figure out who owns them, if they want them, or if they can ever be contacted, and what we got to do to absorb them and get them in the hands of a responsible redeveloper, which there are some out there that's doing a good job with homes. So and that will help us sustain. And then you got Nehemiah Homes, Mr. Doss with Growth International, as well as Springfield Project, all continuing to look to develop new housing, which is a great combination for our community. So when many a times you'll hear me, Alderman Williams and Purchase up there talk about there's more people than just even those three, right? Those three, do a lot of new housing and some redevelopment on older houses, but there's some gentlemen and women out in our community that are doing a good job on rehabbing houses as well and renting them out or whatever the case might be. I want to see more home ownership, but I definitely want to look to add them into the mix, because that's what we have to do. It's the blight and need is so great throughout our community. It's going to take a whole lot of people.
It takes a collective effort. It's a
Absolutely.
collective effort.
Absolutely.
Everybody's got to pitch in.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to wind down here.
All right.
So what's next for Alderman Gregory and Ward 2? What's next?
Well, right now we're gonna try to finish out that South Grand corridor with Cap 1908 and Bruce at Bourbon Street. There, they've done some fabulous work already, and we're gonna try to help them finish out, as well as Clay's Barbecue. I know they're prepped and primed to do some things. So just keep working on development, economic development, housing, getting houses rehabbed. Of course, youth and violence prevention, and making sure that different organizations are getting involved and getting a chance to get involved to help us out, in that area. And just anything, man. We like I said, the need is so great. I put a full priority on each and everything that people bring to me to make sure that we look into it and try to address it. Nothing's too big or too small.
All right, Alderman, I appreciate you taking the time to have a chat with me on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I had to come over to my boy. I had to come over to my boy Roy Williams' house and get on his computer. I was out and about.
You was out and about in the streets, and so you were doing the job of an alderman. You were being accessible, so I do understand.
Yes.
But I really appreciate you taking the time. And this is Frank Mcneil with Talk of the Town and Alderman Sean Gregory, and look forward to having a conversation with you again, Sean.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got to thank my sponsors, Sagaman Watch, Brian Sue down there, and the repair shop is there now. So if you have a need for a repair and a watch, Brian and Jackie can take care of that. Picture Perfect Creations and my boy Steve Johnson, and Boyd's New Generation Restaurant. All right, take care of yourself.
All right, now. Peace.
Peace.